Relisha Rudd's laughter was the kind that could fill a room and make even the most tired social worker smile. She was 8 years old, small for her age, with bright, curious eyes and a love for dancing in pink sneakers. She lived with her mother and siblings in a shelter in Washington, D.C., a place where hope sometimes felt as thin as the blankets on the beds, but Relisha managed to find joy in the smallest things: a new hair ribbon, a coloring book, the promise of a field trip. Relisha's world was not an easy one. The shelter was crowded and loud, and her mother, Shamika, did her best to keep the family together. Still, Relisha dreamed of becoming a teacher, and she loved school, where her teachers described her as gentle and eager to please. She was the kind of child who would share her snack with a classmate who'd forgotten theirs, or who would wrap her arms around her little brothers when the world outside their room felt too big. In the spring of 2014, Relisha's life took a turn that no one could have foreseen. A man named Khalil Tatum worked as a janitor at the shelter. He was friendly, always quick with a joke, and he seemed to take a special interest in Relisha. He would bring her small gifts, take her on trips to museums and parks, and tell her mother that he could help with babysitting or finding work. Shamika, struggling to keep her family afloat, trusted him. After all, he worked at the shelter, and he seemed to care about her daughter's happiness. But then, one day, Relisha didn't come home. At first, her absence was masked by confusion: a note here, a phone call there, stories about sleepovers and trips. Days passed before anyone outside her family realized she was missing. When authorities finally began to ask questions, they discovered that Relisha had not been seen at school for weeks. The shelter staff had not reported her absence, and her mother's explanations became increasingly vague. The search for Relisha swept through the city like a storm. Police officers, volunteers, and neighbors combed parks and vacant lots, searching for any sign of the little girl with the bright smile. News cameras captured images of her mother pleading for help, her voice trembling with fear and regret. Flyers with Relisha's photo, her hair in neat braids, her eyes shining, were taped to lampposts and bus stops. The city held its breath. As the days turned into weeks, hope began to fade. The man who had taken her, Khalil Tatum, was found in a park, his life ended by his own hand. In the same park, police found the body of his wife, but there was no sign of Relisha. Her backpack and pajamas were discovered, carefully placed as if someone wanted to leave a trail, but the trail ended there. The city was left with questions that no one could answer. Relisha's family kept her room just as she'd left it. Her mother arranged her stuffed animals on the bed, and her brothers left notes for her in the hollow of an old oak tree in the park nearby: "We miss you, Relisha. Come home." Her teachers organized vigils, lighting candles and sharing stories about the little girl who had once danced down the school hallways. Strangers tied pink ribbons to the fence around the shelter, a silent plea for her safe return. Every March, on the anniversary of her disappearance, the community gathers to remember Relisha. They share memories, release balloons into the sky, and pray that somewhere, somehow, she is safe. Her mother sits by the window, watching the street, hoping for a knock that never comes. She whispers to herself, "She's still out there. I know it." Relisha's story is a reminder of the children who slip through the cracks, of the families who are left to wonder, and of the hope that refuses to die, even when the world grows quiet. Her absence is a wound that never truly heals, but her memory is a light that continues to shine in the hearts of those who loved her, and in the city that still waits for her to come home. On the night of February 13, 2000, as a storm swept through Shelby, North Carolina, the Degree family's small home was filled with the ordinary sounds of life. Harold and Aquila Degree watched television in the living room, while their children, O'Brien and Asha, prepared for bed. Asha, just 9 years old, was a quiet, thoughtful girl who loved reading, basketball, and the color green. She was the kind of child who followed the rules, who did her homework without being asked, who hugged her parents tightly before falling asleep. That night, the wind howled and rain lashed at the windows. Asha's basketball team had lost a game earlier that day, and she'd been disappointed, but her mother had comforted her with gentle words and a warm meal. The family settled in for the night, unaware that their world was about to change forever. In the early hours of Valentine's Day, while her family slept, Asha quietly slipped out of bed. She dressed in jeans, a white shirt, and her favorite sneakers. She packed her book bag with a few clothes, a Tweety bird purse, and a library book. Then, in the darkness and pouring rain, she left the safety of her home and walked out into the night. Several motorists later reported seeing a small figure walking along Highway 18, just outside of Shelby. One driver turned around, concerned for the child's safety, but by the time he reached the spot, she was gone. It was only when Harold went to wake Asha for school the next morning that her absence was discovered. Panic set in as the family searched the house, the yard, and then called the police. The search for Asha became one of the largest in North Carolina's history. Volunteers, neighbors, and law enforcement combed the woods, fields, and roadsides, calling her name into the wind. Flyers with her smiling face appeared on telephone poles, in shop windows, and on car bumpers. The community rallied together, united by hope and fear. Days turned into weeks, and then months. The only clues were a few personal items found in a shed near the highway, and, a year later, Asha's book bag, carefully wrapped in a plastic bag and buried along a remote stretch of road. Inside were her clothes, a pencil, and a library book. The discovery raised more questions than answers. Why had Asha left home? Was she running away, or had someone lured her out into the storm? Asha's parents refused to give up hope. They kept her room just as she'd left it, her bed neatly made, her favorite stuffed animals lined up on the pillow. Aquila often sat by the window, watching the street, praying for her daughter's return. Harold visited the spot where Asha was last seen, leaving flowers and whispering words of love into the wind. Each year, on Valentine's Day, the Degree family holds a walk in Asha's honor. Friends, neighbors, and strangers join them, carrying candles and wearing green ribbons. They walk the same route Asha is believed to have taken, their footsteps a silent promise that she will never be forgotten. Asha's story is one of heartbreak and hope, of a family's unyielding love and a community's refusal to let her memory fade. Her absence is a question that hangs in the air, unanswered but never abandoned. In the quiet moments, when the world grows still, her mother sometimes dreams of Asha's laughter, of the little girl who once danced in the rain and believed that anything was possible. Somewhere, in the hearts of those who love her, Asha Degree's light still shines, a beacon of hope in the darkness, guiding them forward as they wait for the day she will come home. Jennifer Kess' life was a tapestry of bright colors and careful plans. At 24, she was living in her first real apartment in Orlando, Florida, a place she'd chosen for its sunlight, its newness, and the promise of independence it offered. She painted the walls a cheerful yellow, hung photos of her family and friends, and filled the space with laughter and hope. Everything in her world seemed to be unfolding just as she'd dreamed: a promising job at a timeshare company, a loving boyfriend with whom she shared evening phone calls, and a close-knit family that supported her every step. On January 23, 2006, Jennifer's day began like any other. She spoke with her parents, Joyce and Drew, and chatted with her boyfriend, Rob, about plans for the upcoming weekend. She was known for her reliability, her warmth, and her habit of keeping in touch. That night, she called Rob before bed, her voice soft with affection, her words full of ordinary, everyday love. "I'll see you soon. I love you," she said, not knowing it would be the last time he'd hear her voice. The next morning, Jennifer did not arrive at work. Her absence was immediately noticed. She was never late, never careless. Calls to her phone went unanswered. Her parents, sensing something was wrong, drove the 2 hours from their home to Orlando. They arrived at her apartment to find her car missing, her bed neatly made, and a towel still damp from her morning shower. It was as if she had simply vanished in the space between waking and leaving for work. The search for Jennifer began with hope and urgency. Her family and friends plastered the city with flyers bearing her photo, a young woman with a radiant smile, eyes full of life. Police scoured the area, searching for any sign of her. 2 days later, her car was found abandoned in a parking lot about a mile from her apartment. The driver's seat was pushed back, suggesting someone taller than Jennifer had driven it. Surveillance footage from the lot showed a figure walking away from the car, their face obscured by a fence post in every frame, a haunting image that offered no answers. Jennifer's parents refused to give in to despair. They sold their home to fund a private investigation, hired experts, and appeared on national television, pleading for help. They hung billboards with her photo and handed out flyers at truck stops and gas stations, asking, "Have you seen her?" They followed every lead, no matter how faint, driven by the hope that their daughter was still out there, waiting to be found. As weeks turned into months, and months into years, the Kess family's determination never wavered. Jennifer's apartment remained empty, the yellow walls fading in the sunlight. Her brother, Logan, left a single rose on her doorstep each Valentine's Day, a silent message of love and longing. Her mother, Joyce, kept Jennifer's room at home just as she'd left it, her clothes neatly folded, her favorite books stacked on the nightstand. She would sit in the quiet, tracing the blurred figure in the surveillance stills with her finger, whispering, "Who are you? What did you do to my girl?" Jennifer's friends gathered each year on her birthday, sharing stories and laughter, keeping her memory alive. They remembered her kindness, her quick wit, her unwavering support. They spoke of the trips they'd planned, the dreams they'd shared, the future that had seemed so certain. In the quiet moments, when the world grew still, they would close their eyes and imagine her walking through the door, her smile lighting up the room. The pain of not knowing became a constant companion for the Kess family, a shadow that followed them through every day. Yet, amid the sorrow, there was also hope. Hope that Jennifer was still out there, hope that someone would remember something, hope that one day, the phone would ring and bring her home. They drew strength from each other, from their community, and from the unwavering belief that love endures, even in the face of uncertainty. Jennifer's story is not just one of loss, but of resilience. It is a testament to the power of family, the strength of community, and the enduring light of hope. Her absence is a question that hangs in the air, unanswered but never abandoned. In the hearts of those who love her, Jennifer Kess' spirit lives on, a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, love never fades. Kieran Hormon's world was filled with wonder. At 7 years old, he was endlessly fascinated by the natural world, bugs, rocks, and especially frogs. His mother, Desiree, would often find him crouched in the backyard, gently cupping a caterpillar or marveling at the patterns on a leaf. Kieran's curiosity was matched only by his kindness. He was the sort of child who would share his snack with a classmate or offer a shy smile to a stranger. On June 4, 2010, excitement buzzed through Skyline Elementary in Portland, Oregon. It was Science Fair Day, and Kieran had spent weeks preparing his project on the red-eyed tree frog. That morning, his stepmother, Terry, snapped a photo of him grinning proudly in front of his display, his glasses slightly askew and his eyes shining with pride. It was the last confirmed photograph ever taken of him. After the science fair, Kieran was seen walking down the hallway, his backpack bouncing on his shoulders. But when the final bell rang, he was nowhere to be found. His father, Kane, and Desiree's world turned upside down as they realized their boy had vanished in the space between classrooms and corridors. The search for Kieran became one of the largest in Oregon's history. Hundreds of volunteers, law enforcement officers, and search dogs combed the dense forests and hills surrounding the school. Flyers with Kieran's smiling face appeared everywhere, on telephone poles, in grocery stores, and on car bumpers. The community rallied, united by the hope of bringing him home. Days turned into weeks, then months, and finally years. Skyline Elementary continued to hold science fairs, but there was always an empty space where Kieran's project should have been. His bedroom remained untouched, his dinosaur sheets neatly made, his favorite science books stacked on the desk. His baby sister, now a teenager, sometimes wore his old sweatshirt, hoping to feel closer to the brother she barely remembered. Every June, the community gathered at the school, releasing green balloons, Kieran's favorite color, into the sky. Desiree would stand among the crowd, her eyes scanning the horizon, her heart refusing to give up hope. "He's out there," she would say, her voice steady but her hands trembling. "I just know it." Kieran's story is one of enduring love and relentless hope. His family's search continues, their lives forever marked by the space he left behind. In the quiet moments, when the world grows still, they imagine him returning home, his pockets full of treasures and his heart still brimming with wonder. Waram Mora's life was a delicate balance of ambition and uncertainty. At 21, she was a nursing student with a talent for running and a knack for fixing old cars. She was close to her family, especially her father, Fred, who encouraged her to chase her dreams and never settle for less than she deserved. But beneath her bright smile, Mora carried the weight of recent struggles, academic pressures, a car accident, and questions about her future. On February 9, 2004, Mora packed her textbooks, a box of wine, and a note for her professors, taking a personal day. She drove north in her beat-up Saturn, her mind perhaps searching for solace in the snowy quiet of New Hampshire's backroads. That night, her car skidded into a ditch near Woodsville. A passing bus driver offered help, but Mora insisted she'd already called for assistance. By the time police arrived, she was gone. The search for Mora was relentless. Her father retraced her route for years, knocking on doors, posting flyers in diners and gas stations, and pleading for information on national television. Her sister, Julie, kept Mora's hiking boots by the door, hoping she'd return to lace them up again. The White Mountains, beautiful and unforgiving, held their secrets close. Mora's dorm room remained as she left it, her bed unmade, her textbooks open, her running shoes lined up by the door. Her friends gathered on the anniversary of her disappearance, sharing memories and lighting candles. They spoke of her laughter, her determination, and the dreams she had yet to fulfill. As the seasons changed, so did the theories. Did Mora wander into the woods, seeking peace and solitude? Did someone offer her a ride, promising safety that never came? The questions lingered, unanswered but never abandoned. In the quiet of winter, when the snow blankets the pines and the world grows still, hikers sometimes pause on the roadside, listening for a voice carried on the wind. Mora's story is one of longing and resilience, a testament to the power of family and the hope that, even after all these years, she might still find her way home. Brian Schaefer was a dreamer with a ready laugh and a passion for music. 2 months away from becoming a doctor, he was known for his kindness, his sense of adventure, and his deep love for his family. On March 31, 2006, Brian joined friends at a popular Columbus, Ohio, bar to celebrate the start of spring break. He laughed over drinks, talked about his plans for the future, and texted his girlfriend, "See you soon." Surveillance cameras captured Brian entering the bar, but not leaving. His apartment keys, phone, and dreams of healing others seemed to vanish with him. The bar's exits were scrutinized, blueprints studied, and every possible scenario considered. Yet, there was no sign of Brian. His father, Randy, became the face of the search, interviewing Brian's classmates, retracing his son's steps, and scouring the city for clues. He kept Brian's room just as it was, his guitar propped in the corner, his favorite records stacked by the window. Randy's final words before his own passing were a plea, "Find my son." Brian's brother, Derek, visits the bar on Brian's birthday each year, leaving a drink on the counter and whispering stories into the night. Friends gather to share memories, their laughter tinged with longing. They remember Brian's generosity, his love of music, and the way he could make anyone feel at ease. Brian's story is a mystery that lingers in the heart of Columbus. His absence is felt in every song played at the bar, in every smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Yet, his family's hope endures, a beacon in the darkness, a promise that they will never stop searching. On June 7, 1992, the city of Springfield, Missouri, was alive with the excitement of high school graduation. Susie Streeter and Stacy McCall, two best friends, had just celebrated their milestone with friends and family. They planned to spend the night at Susie's house, where her mother, Cheryl Levitt, awaited them with open arms and a warm embrace. The next morning, the house was eerily quiet. The porch light was shattered, the couch cushions slightly askew, and a single earring lay on the floor. The women's purses were lined up neatly by the door, their car keys and lipstick untouched. Calls to their phones went unanswered. The search for the Springfield Three captivated the nation. Volunteers combed the city, distributing flyers and searching every corner for clues. The Levitt home became a place of pilgrimage, a symbol of hope and heartbreak. Neighbors left flowers on the porch, and strangers sent letters of support from across the country. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into years, the questions multiplied. What happened in the quiet hours between celebration and mourning? Why did no one hear a sound? The house stands empty now, a silent witness to a mystery that refuses to fade. Susie's brother leaves roses on the porch each June, whispering, "Come home, sis. Please." The community gathers each year to remember the women, their laughter echoing in the memories of those who loved them. The Springfield Three remain a testament to the power of hope and the enduring strength of family. Johnny Gosch was 12 years old when he set out on his paper route in West Des Moines, Iowa, on a crisp September morning in 1982. He waved to his dad, his wagon full of newspapers, and promised to be back for pancakes. But when breakfast was ready, Johnny was gone. His wagon was found upright, newspapers still inside. Neighbors reported seeing a blue car following him, but no one could say where Johnny had gone. His mother, Noreen, became a tireless advocate for missing children, lobbying for the first missing milk carton photo and pushing for changes in how authorities respond to disappearances. Noreen's home became a command center, filled with maps, notes, and photos of Johnny. She kept a lamp burning in the window, her voice steady but her hands trembling as she flipped through old albums. In 1997, a man claiming to be Johnny knocked on her door, but vanished before police could arrive. Every September, the Gosh family holds a vigil, lighting candles and sharing stories of the boy with the bright smile and boundless curiosity. Noreen insists, he's alive. I feel it in my bones. Johnny's story is one of heartbreak and hope, a reminder that a mother's love never fades, and that the search for answers can be as enduring as the mystery itself. Tara Calico was 19, a college student with a passion for biking and a love for adventure. On September 20, 1988, she set out on her usual route along the backroads of Belen, New Mexico, her Walkman playing her favorite mixtape. She promised her mother, Patty, she'd be home for lunch. When Tara didn't return, Patty drove the route, finding only a broken cassette tape by the roadside. The community rallied, searching fields and ditches, but Tara was nowhere to be found. A year later, a Polaroid photo surfaced in a Florida parking lot, a young woman and boy, bound and gagged, their eyes wide with fear. Patty was certain it was her daughter, but authorities could not confirm it. The photo became a symbol of hope and despair, a question that haunted the nation. Tara's bike was found, its tires slashed, but no other clues emerged. Patty visits the spot where Tara vanished, scattering wildflower seeds into the wind. She loved this land, Patty says softly. Maybe it will help her find her way back. Tara's story is a testament to a mother's love and the courage to keep searching, even when the answers remain just out of reach. On December 23, 1974, Rachel Twyka, Renee Wilson, and Julie Mosley, ages 17, 14, and 9, went shopping for Christmas gifts at a Fort Worth mall. They piled into Rachel's blue sedan, waving to her husband as they left, their laughter echoing in the winter air. When they didn't return, families searched the mall, calling their names and checking every store. The car was found days later, parked neatly at a mall across town. The keys were in the ignition, the gifts wrapped and waiting. Rachel's husband received a cryptic letter, "We're alive. Tell the police to stop looking." The families gathered each Christmas, hanging 3 stockings by the fireplace, singing carols and sharing memories. Rachel's sister, Mary, would visit the mall parking lot, her voice barely a whisper, "Where did you go? We miss you." The Fort Worth trio's story is one of enduring love and unanswered questions. Their family's hope remains unbroken, a light shining through the years, waiting for the day when the girls will come home.